Welcome, Kal-El.
I was wondering if you're going to do the Brainiac voice because it's such a great voice.
It's such a great voice.
You
Such a
just talk down here with no emotion
yeah.
whatsoever.
But there is something about it that is it's I mean, there's something that happens in this episode where you kind of go like, you don't want to hear that voice on your phone.
No, no, no. Corey Burton does a very amazing job as Brainiac. He's one of those. When I read Brainiac,
Yeah,
that's the voice I hear.
I
That's just
agree.
that's just the way it goes. By the way, I have to go ahead and give you a round of applause, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry.
That's more of a golf clap, but okay.
Okay, well, I mean, what do you want? I'm stuck in a corner. I mean, you get what you get.
Yeah,
I
go
was
ahead.
gonna say, I was hoping that the key art would be exactly what you picked.
Yes, it was funny too because it's when I picked the thumbnail, I always like go and I saw that one, but the quality that I found on Google somehow what changed the way that you could find images. They did something recently. I'm not going to go into detail. Maybe it was Brainiac. No, but no, it's just like even when I did the clip for last week's episode, I was like, man, I couldn't find like good things like quality clips. I mean, I did for the thumbnail, but when it came to like using images within, it was kind of like it was a little difficult. And then when it came to this, it was like, oh man, there's a little bit of grainy. And I'm like, yeah, I was like, I wanted to find a better quality image. And usually I can, but I couldn't. But and when I saw that image, I'm like, yeah, I have to use that one. I mean, there was other ones, that we could use, like show Brainiac and Superman fighting. But I was like, no, this one's the image
This
because
is actually the one that Max uses,
okay.
and one,
Oh yeah.
it's a great image, but also, dude, spoiler alert.
I know, right? It's like one of those things where it's like, yeah, because sometimes Max, we've talked about how the thumbnail that they'll use, the image they use
It's
for
like,
the
what the
episode,
fuck?
you're like, what is this about? I don't.
She
Okay,
picks some random shot that's like not indicative of the episode whatsoever, and you're like, why?
yeah, but yeah, you're right. When it picked this one, it was. But we were excited for this episode last
Oh
week,
my god.
the
I
return.
watched this episode today just going, I love this episode. And
Yeah,
and and I remember why I loved this episode. It's such a good one.
such a good one. I mean, I mean, it could. I will say, it could have benefited for a two-parter because it seemed like there was a lot. For the return of Brainiac, maybe it could have benefited from a two-parter. Maybe not. I don't know. It flows very well. I'm not
It,
saying it does.
no, no, no. I think okay. We'll have to get into this in the discussion of the episode, but I think maybe you're just going for the fact that it's such a good story. You just
Yeah.
wish there was more of it.
Yeah, more drawn out a little bit, maybe.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But yet, I still think that for a 22-minute episode, it hits all the beats, what needs to happen, and it sets up. It it sets up so much.
It does.
I mean, in this series, in the future of the universe, it's amazing what a key part this episode ends up playing. So I personally, I feel like, oh, it does what it needs to do and it does it well.
Yes.
I think what you're saying is just the fact that you just would like more of it, and I can't blame you.
Yes. The story's so good. I mean, not only get that, we also, we dig into Mercy a little bit.
Okay, I completely forgot. I wanted to
Yeah.
bring that up tonight because I completely forgot about the mercy element in this episode.
Yeah, there's that too. A lot of layers. And I love how Lois like points that out at first. And then you just see her devotion and her, dare I say, love for Lex Luthor.
That is a question I want to discuss with you as the episode goes on,
Okay.
because that's always been a about those two characters. So,
Very true, very true. But yes, we are of course talking about the Ghost in the Machine, and good to see some of you guys out there. We got Jason right here. We also have Rhett. How fitting you guys are talking about Brainiac episode with the new game from Rocksteady out. Oh yeah, true. The
yeah,
Suicide
that's
Squad
right.
game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know people have been talking about certain things, elements with that. But yeah, I appreciate it, guys. Oh, we're also live on Twitter too, by the way.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I saw Film Junkie live. I didn't watch Film
yeah.
Junkie live last night, but I saw the fact that you've uh, integrated that.
Yeah, it's weird because, obviously, I had some issues with Streamlabs for this week, and then they got fixed, and I was using Streamlabs is weird. I'm still trying to figure out how to stream on Twitter with that because there's like a whole thing you have to do. But when it comes to StreamYard, just like on the Vodka stream, it's easily done. It's linked up, it's playing right now. So there's some people that are watching on Twitter. So hi, Twitter or X, whatever the hell you want to call it.
Hey, I look at it this way. I still type twitter.com into my address bar.
Still works.
It still works.
Yeah. I mean, let's face it. It's just Elon and his obsession with the letter X, I guess. I still call it Twitter, tweets, retweets. I can't. I've been talking
repost,
like that.
I can't.
Yeah, it's just it's weird. Anyways, but so we are on there too now, which is cool. So yeah, we're talking about Ghost in the Machine, the return of Brainiac. We're excited for it. Obviously, we already started diving into it before we really started diving.
Because how can we not? It's such a good episode.
It really is. And of course, it starts off with your traditional Lex Luthor having to have a presentation to show the military because he's got some new toys. Press is there, obviously. Clark and Lois are there. But yeah, we got a bunch of military people. He's going to be showing something. And I love how Lois, she's like us because, again, I was just like, okay, that's right. We're starting off with another Lex Luthor presentation to get some people to buy his new toys. And that's basically what she said. She's like, yeah, whatever he has, it's going to be on their Christmas list this year.
Yeah, I was a little surprised, though, that when he starts the presentation, I'm jumping a little bit ahead because we're going to have to rewind because I love the conversation that Mercy and Lex have before the presentation starts.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
But I was a little surprised about how sparse looking the crowd looked for this presentation. Did that strike you, or was it just a weird detail I noticed?
Yeah, no, I saw that too. Yeah, it's just like it's I guess just mainly for military dudes, and
who were sitting around like that Dr. Strange love looking table in the back.
It was interesting, but yeah, you bring up a good point too because that was one of the first things that struck in my memory when it came to this episode was just the fact I was like, oh yeah, Mercy really is she's relevant in this episode to the point where because she spots like a little hair on his suit,
basically lint.
Lint.
It's a piece of lint because Lex is legitimately nervous about this presentation.
Can you blame him for what he does? Jesus, guy's psycho.
I know, right?
He takes a risk.
He does take a risk. And of course, he was hoping for, high risk, high reward on this presentation. And he's confiding in Mercy the fact that he is nervous and he's like, you got everything set up, right?
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, yeah, I got you covered, man. And,
won't go out half cocked. That line just, I was like, oh yeah, I remember that. Because I thought it was just, I remember as a kid, I thought, did she just say half cocked? Of course, kid brain. I didn't realize that
my brain didn't go there, but
my brain went there when I was a kid. Maybe a little bit when I was an adult, but I'm just saying because the term half cocked is whatever. But I think as a kid, I was like, what? I'm kind of like.
But so I remember her spotting the lint too.
Yeah,
and there's a moment where she gets kind of close to him, and that was where I kind of go, he clearly is not reciprocating whatever it is that she's putting off.
Yeah,
but I do wonder, what is it that Mercy feels for Lex? When you say love, are we talking about a romantic love? Are we talking more just like an adoration?
Or a father figure?
Father, yeah. Especially when we get a little bit of Mercy backstory in this episode, which is kind of cool. I like the way that they tease you in this episode. Something's up with Mercy. Mercy feels something for Lex, but it never clearly states what that is. And I'm cool with that, actually.
She wants some of that Lex love, maybe. Oh, yeah, that bald head. She wants to
put
some oil on that thing. Yeah. Sorry. Anyways, clip it. So, yeah. So with this presentation that's happening, I mean, Lex just basically lets it out of the bag that it's like, hey, we got some sidewinder missiles headed this way, and people are like, what? Oh
Oh, and
yeah.
they lose their shit.
People start freaking out, and it's like whatever. I mean, good thing Clark Kent's there. Obviously, he like, but obviously we have the Sky Sentry gun that's going to be like shooting them down. That of course raises out from the ground, and you just already know. I mean, obviously, even if you haven't seen this episode, you know that it's not going to end up working. Superman's going to have to save the day. And sure enough, Clark looks out there. He sees in the distance the missiles coming. And it's like, oh boy, am I going to have to jump into action here? And of course, he has to jump into action.
Right, because it's interesting because when the gun doesn't work,
Yeah.
the scientist says something isn't working, and Lex is like, "Wait a minute, it means it had to be reprogrammed." I like that it goes and sets up that it has to be a computer issue. That is what makes the gun not work, which of course then is going to lead into, the real villain of the
Of
episode
course.
showing up. That's a computer issue. And it's interesting watching Lex lose his cool.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
he doesn't care about like he's not trying to like keep the show on for the crowd. He is completely like, oh no, like this is bad. Like I don't have it. I think it's interesting for this episode that Lex rolled the dice on this,
Yeah.
and he didn't have a backup plan in case something went wrong. That doesn't seem very Lex to me, except for if you want to say he was arrogant enough to think, well, of course the Sky Sentry is going to work, so I don't need a plan B to stop the two guided missiles heading straight for me.
And of course, Lex doesn't want Superman to save his ass.
Of course not.
Yeah. So that just to add to it is the fact that Superman had to swoop in and save his ass to stop these missiles from killing people. So
Yeah,
that's
okay, and I'm kind of curious. Like, one, this is A team animation. This is the good stuff. This is
yeah.
I'm loving this. So I thought it was interesting watching Superman. Like, he doesn't stop the missiles. He
Yeah.
kind of weirdly like redirects them, and like in,
Mhm.
in a way that I'm like, well, you're cutting it close there, Clark.
Yeah.
It's I, he punches one up, he like shoves the other one, but it's not like Superman the movie where he's gonna like point it straight up and send it off into space or something. It's like he pushes it just far enough that it goes over the building and into the river. And I just thought that was an interesting choice.
Well, let's just face it. I think when it comes to the river, Superman is like grateful that river is there.
Oh my God, the amount of crap he has thrown. I mean, what has he thrown into that river?
Yes.
Helicopters,
There's
multiple
been
helicopters, I think.
and
What
that
else?
river comes into play in this episode again.
He,
I'm just
he
saying.
throws a couple of things into the
Yes.
river in this episode.
So when you're saying that, I'm like, yeah, the river. And then when I was like, oh yeah, and I even thought about that too when later on in this episode, it's like, yeah, that he has utilized that river to
How
to help
much?
save lives. That river is helping him save lives. That river is Superman's sidekick. I tell you, oof, man. Tell you what, and then I love how Lois, of course, like, what happened, Lex? Premature product launch.
Oh
Oh,
wow.
little
Oh
Indy.
yeah.
Oh, there's something
That's
behind
that's
there.
that that's that joke there for the adults. Like
Oh
that's
yeah.
yes.
Oh, definitely for the adults. And remember, they used to date.
We used to date. I remember.
Mm. So there's something there. So then, of course, obviously he's very upset. And then Mercy is just like going, "Hey, I'll figure it out. I'm gonna, I'm on it, Lex. I'm on it, boss," kind of thing. But then Lex is like, you know what? No, I'm gonna figure this one out myself. I mean, it seems like Lex really did. Yeah, with this opening scene, he put a lot. The way that they crafted this opening scene, there's a lot that Lex put on himself when it came to this presentation.
Yeah. And so when it goes terribly wrong, it's like, no, I am personally
Mm-hmm.
going to figure this out. And then of course, cut to the classic, we're furiously typing on our computer while sipping our coffee because, like That's the classic way of I'm staying awake by
Yeah,
pounding coffee and furiously typing on my computer. Cool thing though is that the coffee does come into play. Like the coffee isn't there just to be a
real.
cliche. The coffee it plays a part later in the episode, which I forgot, which was kind of
Yeah.
cool.
It is cool that the coffee does, and of course we get the fuzzy message from Brainiac because you could hear that voice. We know who it is, even though I like how they do that, though. I mean, it works. It
It's
works.
like there's always that thing in animation that do they not think kids recognize voices?
I know
That's a legitimate question. Like, do they think we don't recognize voices?
that. I mean, that is a good question because it's like they could have easily just like muffled that voice and made it staticky itself to not make it sound like Brainiac, but because like as we said at the beginning, I mean, we love that voice and you recognize that voice automatically. So it's like, yeah, it's almost like they just went, I think people know that this is Brainiac, maybe with TV spots and whatever the
Oh,
hell.
there would have been. Oh, yeah, there would have
Yeah.
been a commercial. There would have been next time on Superman the Animated
Yeah. You
Series.
have to
Yeah.
sell the episode. And when it's somebody, when it comes to a Superman villain that is Brainiac, you got to sell it, of course. So I think they just went, who cares? We know that they know it's Brainiac, but let's make a little statically, kind of sci-fi kind of crazy little thing that we have right here. And then he has
I
to
do
go
love
to
the fact that his R&D department is Sector 6.
yes, right.
It sounds so super cool.
It
It's
does.
like, ooh, that sounds like, anytime you hear sector or section or something,
Yes,
you're always like, ooh,
that's that's deep down inside, isn't it? Ooh, that's where the top secret stuff is, isn't it?
that's where the top men are.
Yes, top men.
Men.
That's an Indiana Jones reference, everybody.
Do you really have to explain Raiders of the Lost Ark to the people? I don't.
I'm just saying, just in
I
case.
know, I know, I know, I
Just in
know.
case.
Children,
Top
if you
men.
have not, if you didn't
Yeah.
get that reference, shame on you.
Shame on all of you that didn't get that reference. But yes, he has to go to Sector 6. And yeah, that's where, we got some crazy little robots that start grabbing Lex. And then, of course, it's revealed with on the screen, as you could, like pretty
I
much
love
like
the
that.
3 monitor
Yes.
thing.
Yes.
Like, that is such a cool design. Like, I mean, it's like boom, boom, and
Yeah.
then it's that weird, like, wire-framed outline of Brainiac. I mean, once again, look at the thumbnail. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a cool way of, like, he's literally disembodied because he doesn't have a body,
Doesn't have a body.
but it allows him to be a presence on screen visually, and not just be a voice the entire time. And
No.
it's so I don't know about you, but there's always been something about movies with wire-framed characters on screens that's always been, like, a little creepy to
Yes,
me.
no, it does add a creepy element to it. It really does. No, you're absolutely correct. That's what I loved about that too, and the fact that it was 3 screens, and it's like, all right, that's Brainiac. Look at him. He's there, and he's controlling things, but he's not quite there. And you're like, whoa, it's just freaky. Yeah, but it could have just been a voice that Lex was hearing or something like that. But no, it makes more of an impact to the episode that you see him on the screens. So just really cool. And then of course, but it was kind of funny too that, like, obviously he needs it for something. And Lex Luthor goes, there is email. I was like, email? There's always email. I'm like, this is what, 1997? I was like, yeah, I mean, that's when email's been around for a bit, but I was like,
Yeah.
email? Whoa. I did not think we were going to get an email, saying the word email in this episode or any episode of this early, 1997. Crazy.
Yeah, once again, we just spent about two years discussing a show that still has black and white monitors.
Yes,
So,
I know, right? Gotham City doesn't. I don't know if they have email, but it was just kind of funny. And then I was just like thinking, I'm like, when did I get my first email address, or when did, online and all that stuff? And I'm
well,
like,
no, I
yeah,
actually think like it
yeah,
would have been
it was
96,
around this time.
97 because I was in high
Yeah,
school. Yeah.
yeah, it was around this time. I remember Prodigy was like the first thing. I never got on Prodigy. My mom was like, "No, you're too young." But my brother and her got on Prodigy, and then of course AOL blew up
Um,
the whole world.
I still use the same Hotmail account that I got had.
Hotmail. I had a Hotmail one too, but I didn't really use it. It was all AOL for me. That was my first one. AOL. Yeah.
Yeah, I never had AOL, so I can't.
Yeah.
But that line was funny from Lex though. You could have sent an email.
Yeah. It's like there's always it was like, wow, I did not expect email to be talked about at least this early. But hey, what could you do? It's cool. It was funny. I got a good laugh at it. I had to rewind it. I was like, oh wow, did you really say email? I was like, cool. So of course, Brainiac is going like, hey, I need you to finish me because these robots, they're too primitive for all the circuitry and the chips and everything. They have to go into obviously the shell, the shell that he needs to be fully alive into the real world. So he needs Lex to, of course, finish him off. That sounded wrong.
You know what? When you first said it, I was like,
Yeah,
why hasn't Dave figured
I
out what
know.
he just said? Okay.
No, I thought it was pretty quick. Well, my bad. Finish him. Just finish his
Complete
shell.
him.
I know.
Complete
Complete.
him.
There you go. Get him to
Okay.
completion. All right.
No,
What?
come
Oh,
on.
damn it. I just keep on going with that. Anyways, no, he needs to, he needs to do it. And then I love it too because we get like flash forward to, how many days do you think Lex was working on Brainiac?
Oh, it I'm gonna say maybe 1 or 2 days. Like,
Yeah.
you look at the stubble on his face.
Yeah, it got stubble.
You think about how long it would have taken Clark to, like, go and, you know, go check in. There has to be a certain amount where Mercy would believe he's still in his office.
And that was cool too, how Brainiac pulled that off by just like, well, you have screens and everywhere. So I could just digitally put you to these screens to tell Mercy that, hey, I'm busy, I'm working,
See,
leave me
he
alone.
existed since 1997. There you go.
Exactly. Exactly. And email and everything. Come on. But so he had a backup plan when it came to all that. But yeah, I was just kind of going like, yeah, probably about 2 or 3 days. And he's working 9 days, he's got bags under his eyes.
Okay,
Uh,
now the cool thing for me, I remember my reaction to seeing Ghost in the Machine, back in the 90s.
mhm.
This is the first, and correct me if I'm wrong here. Probably not, just so don't worry about correcting me. Um,
Oh, I want you
this
to be wrong. I'm sorry.
I know you want me to be wrong so bad. But I feel like in this episode, it's the first time in this universe that it indicates that Lex himself is a genius.
Yeah.
And because he could simply just be this evil, conniving businessman who utilizes technology. Um, you know, but this is the first time that you get the idea that, oh no, he has the skill to actually do this himself.
I think you are correct. Yeah. Because I'm trying to think of any other episode because, yeah, you can always just understand that Lex is just he's the face of the company. He's the one that's selling the toys. He's the one that's just the evil businessman type, which he is.
Which
But
he is, but this is okay. History lesson, because I have to do I love doing these, because
mm,
when Lex Luthor was created, he was a mad scientist.
yeah,
The business we've talked about this before. The businessman, LexCorp, all of that did not show up until 1986 with the John Byrne post-crisis reboot. So I thought it was interesting that Ghost in the Machine is really your first indication that yes, he is the businessman, but he could also be the mad scientist because he is that smart.
yeah.
Like there is actual skill there. He built LexCorp from something. I don't really think we ever get much of a
No,
backstory
I think
on
you're right about that.
on this version of Lex,
Yeah,
but clearly he has skill, he has knowledge, and this was the episode that really revealed that aspect of his character in this universe. And so I think I always remember Ghost in the Machine. That was one of the many elements that stuck with me from watching it was, oh, Lex is a scientist. Like
Yeah,
he is a genius.
yeah, he's
He's not
brilliant,
just a asshole businessman.
and you do feel sorry for him a little bit here, you know? A little
Um,
bit. I mean, I like that. Okay, the scene where he's just like, I need food, I need sleep, and blah blah blah. And one of the machines just goes, "You need food," and it just like breaks open the donut machine, and he like gets in, he's like eating it, and he sees a reflection of himself in like the glass, and he's
well,
just
wasn't
kind of
it
like,
was candy bars. It was a vending machine because it
"Oh, I
was like
thought it was like donuts. I thought it said
no,
donuts."
like
So
even
it's-
if you even read
Oh,
the
okay.
labels, it was basically like he was basically eating a Snickers.
Oh, okay. I thought it was like powdered donuts, like in those like little rolls, or like those small donuts or something like that. But no, I mean, but he sees himself like, his reflection, and it's just like, there's
He's
like a real like
disgusted.
he's disgusted at himself. Like I've always been, and I guess you could say like, he's being used as a servant and a slave, and you can almost like go, the way he treats Mercy sometimes. I don't know. It's just there's
No,
something.
I think what you just that's a really cool
Yeah.
metaphor that you pointed
Hmm.
out that I'm gonna be honest, I didn't pick up on, but I
Yeah.
like that you thought about that. Brainiac's treating Lex the way Lex treats Mercy.
Yeah. There's
Your
something like that.
tool.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
you are there purely to serve my needs. I mean, because that's how Brainiac treats Lex. You're there to build my body. I
Yes.
don't give a shit about you sleeping. I don't give a shit about you eating. Get the job done. He even basically tells him, "Well, fuck sleeping. You're not going to get that." But yeah, there's a vending machine over here. I can give you a candy bar,
Yeah.
and it's amazing to watch how Lex is just so drained. He's so hungry. I mean, he pounces on those candy bar. I mean, this is a guy who probably eats filet mignon for breakfast, lunch, and dinner,
Oh, yeah,
and
he's eating
and he's
top-notch food, yeah.
but he's jumping on a pile of freaking candy bars because it's food.
Yeah. So, yeah, I just was, like, thinking about that, I'm like, "Yeah, there's a little bit of something there, I think," Some layers in this episode, I'm telling you. And then, of course, we have Clark that shows up, and obviously, he wants to know exactly what's going on, and Mercy basically is just telling him, like, "Hey, he's over there, he's busy," but Clark goes, "Oh, yeah, really?" And then he just looks through the wall, not there. And then we get a little fight scene from Mercy and Clark, and it's a cool little one because it's like, easy, Clark, you can't, you got to be careful. I mean, Mercy, let's face it, she's trained, she knows her stuff, so he's got to be swift, quick, but not too quick. So, and then he gets past her to, get through the doors to show that, hey, he's not here.
Which is awesome because then Mercy has a legitimate reaction of
Yeah.
what the hell?
Yeah.
And Clark picks up on that. Which, by the way, I want to do a quick rewind to early in the episode when Lois and Clark were leaving the presentation,
Hmm.
and Lois says, "Who'd want to kill Lex Luthor?"
Oh, yeah.
That look that Clark is like,
Forgot about
uh,
that. Yeah, no, that was like, did you really just ask that? And then she's like, well, who would actually try?
it would be crazy enough to try.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, yeah, that is pretty funny. It's like, who would want to kill Lex Luthor? Everyone. I mean, it's like pretty much everyone. And it's like,
Take
yeah,
a
but nobody
number.
be, yeah, exactly. Take a number, but nobody be stupid enough to try, kind of thing, yeah, that was funny. I forgot about that part. But and then this is where what you said, the coffee comes into play, because he's like, this coffee's ice cold. He hasn't been here in days. So that's where you get that first indication of like, oh, yeah. So the coffee came into play right there. The coffee that was, that the cliche thing of like, I'm pounding coffee to stay awake to figure out what happened here. So that was cool.
And then, of course, Mercy just tries to shoo him out of there as quickly as
Yeah,
possible because once she realizes that he's gone, now she's got a mystery to solve, which
exactly.
once again is kind of cool because it once again shows skills that Mercy has. And so, and of course,
And
then
what what Clark says to her, call
remind me
me
what
when your Lord and Master shows up. It's like,
stuff. Yeah.
oh, yeah, because he's just like, hey, I was trying to figure that out with you, but you're kicking me out. And then he's just like, call me when your Lord and Master shows up. It's like, ooh, that was a little big
Big.
right there. You got to like that. And then of course we get Clark calls Lois, and it's just like, hey, this some weird shit's going on right here. And then Lois, this is where she starts going like, you ever see how Mercy is with him and blah blah blah. She's like indicating that, oh yeah, there's love here. That's what I was getting when it came to Lois telling Clark about their relationship.
And I love how Clark was like, no. And Lois like, and why? And we wonder why you're still single.
Yeah, exactly. She's picking up, I mean, but again, she's a woman, so she's picking up like a different thing, like, and again, it could, like what we said, it could be genuine love, or it could be like a fatherly thing, or the fact that when we find out that, yeah, she was just like basically living on this off the street and blah blah blah, which we find out in a little bit. But it was just kind of interesting. And then of course this is where we get that phone call that you don't want to get when you hear that Brainiac voice on the other end. Is this Clark Kent?
And I'm sorry, this scene, dude.
Yeah.
There is something so awesome about watching Superman as Clark use his powers, and not in like a cutesy way, but like in just a full on.
I got it. Yeah.
I mean, dude does a one hand. I mean, I love college football, and I love like the receivers to go for like the wide receivers to go for like that one handed like in the end zone. Like, oh my God, how did you grab that? And just to watch this missile come flying through his window. Dude just grabs the missile with one hand, in his shirt and tie.
Yeah.
And it's just like, because the propulsion's still going, and he's like trying to stop it. And then he stops it, and he's holding it, and then it starts beeping, and you're like, oh shit.
Yeah, kind of fly, and he doesn't even think twice. And in his casual clothes and his shirt and his slacks and everything, his tie, he just flies off into the air. And, obviously he's got to get it out of there. You don't want to blow up the building. And then when the missiles do blow up, obviously it rips off all the clothing, and now he's Superman, which I thought that was kind of cool.
That was cool, because I'm thinking, going, you're sitting at home and you're still wearing your costume underneath your clothes. Okay.
I know. Always, you never know. You never know.
You never know.
You never know when some alien like technology is going to send a missile through your apartment. All right. That's, you have to be prepared for all scenarios.
Except for you're not prepared when the concussion of the explosion decides to take out the overpass over your head.
Oh, yeah. There it is. And yeah. So, of course, now he has to do his Superman thing where it's like, okay, now we got the overpass, because, again, we're in Metropolis that has overpasses all over the place.
I think ridiculously and dangerously too high off the ground. But
yeah, probably. I don't know if what they were kind of thinking when it came to all these overpasses that happened. But yeah, so obviously we got a couple chunks that are falling towards other overpasses. So it's like Superman then has to like get like 3 big chunks and kind of like stack them. And then where does he put them? The river.
But I also love how, like, once again, this is a moderately powered Superman. So like he's trying to hold these things up, and it's like pushing him like down.
We got a train. Subway,
oh God, I love that how he bends his knees.
Yes.
And he's just like,
yeah. So good. So
and then, of course, he gets to the river, and then what does he do?
Whoosh, yeah, he does this.
We get that. We get the sigh with the wipe the brow, because oh my God, that was heavy.
Gotta indicate that. I know. And I always like the comment.
That's really kind of becoming our gag with this.
It really is. Yeah, anytime he does that, he does the. Oh man! But then of course we go back to Mercy.
Just to see Tim Daly doing the wallop for that. Oh, Andrea Romano going, okay, Tim, give me another.
I know, and I'm kind of wondering, does Tim Daly actually do the hand motion too? Because anytime you see some of these voice actors, I mean, obviously they get animated, so I kind of wonder if he actually does do the. Or
who gets the most animated of all of them?
Mark Hamill.
Oh my dear God! Yes.
Fuck yeah, I've seen him. I've seen that. Oh yeah, I've seen those behind the scenes, man. Ooh yeah, he's very animated. I love it. Absolutely love it. So then we get back to Mercy, who, of course, is looking at the security feed, and then she sees that Lex has made it over to Sector 6.
Yes. But he never comes out.
Never comes out. Dun, dun, dun. And then, of course, through the vents, we get robots that show up. And you know what? Kudos to Mercy. She kicks ass. when it comes
does.
to these robots, man. I tell
I'm
you
still
what.
trying to figure out how she kicks ass in a skirt that short, but okay.
I know, right? I mean, let's face it. I mean, her uniform is it's a short skirt. It's a short skirt. But then again, it's like, well, if she was, I mean, I guess if she was wearing certain kind of pants, she would be able to be as flexible. But I'm just saying, she's a good kicker. She
She's a
kicks.
very good kicker. Now I do have one. I have one question.
Okay.
Where the hell does Superman come from?
I don't know. I don't know. I was just about to ask you the same thing. He just kind of appears.
I'm like, did he come through the ceiling? Did he come through the wall? Was he in the building? Like, he just shows up in the room, and I'm like, where the hell did you come
Yeah.
from?
Yeah. I mean, did he steal a key card? I mean, what's going on? I mean, in order to get to where she's at, she's in a pretty highly security area. She's looking at the security monitors, for God's sake. So yeah, I don't know where he came from. I'm with you on that one.
Okay,
Maybe
good. I'm just
did he
curious.
phase like Flash? I mean, what's going on here? I don't know. I was gonna ask you the same thing. I'm like, I wrote that in my notes. Superman just appears, and I'm like, not sure how he got there, but hey, now he's here, and now he's going to take on the robots because obviously a ton more show up, and she's just doing her thing, kicking them and doing all her stuff, and he's just
her jujitsu.
Yes.
Jujitsu.
Oh yeah, she's got some good karate chops too. And then Superman, of course, is just using heat vision, melting all these robots and stuff like that. So yeah, so they kick ass, and now they're kind of like teamed up, and then she knows where he's at, so they make their way down to I said Sexter.
You did. Okay.
Man, I tell you what, jeez, I know. See, with all the the other naughty stuff I was trying to inject into this episode, I said Sexter 6.
But that's for the Axel Braun porn parody.
Yeah, I know exactly. What does Mercy look like in those movies? Anyways, okay. So they make their way down there. It's like, yeah, Superman just shows up. That's what I wrote. And then, of course, Lex. We see Lex, and this is where Lex is actually praising Brainiac's technology because he's just like, "Wow, I've never seen anything like this," and blah blah. And then Brainiac just goes, "And you'll never see it again." It's like he's not finished yet, asshole. You just threatened him with death.
And Lex brings that up.
Yeah.
Like Lex brings that up. He's like, of course, at that point when he walks off, that's when the cool, creepy thing happens, where it's like the monitors turn off like in sequence, like doom, doom.
And then you see the upload happen, and you're like, oh boy. But I mean, I think Brainiac was like, I think he did enough. Like, I'll take it from here. It's like I just needed him to get me to this point right here, and then I'll take it from here because he just basically goes, and you'll never see again. I was like, wow, that's quite a threat. Okay, but yeah, Lex was like, really? All right, that's the last time I help you, and he's like gonna storm off. But yeah, then we get the upload, the dramatic upload, and then of course we get a little bit of a, and then of course we get Lex tries to run off, but he gets zapped.
Yes, children, pay attention. This will come back many years later.
Yes, there you go. Yes, some of the upgrades.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Mm-hmm. So, and then of course this is pretty cool because obviously Superman and Mercy show up in here, and I was like, this has to be where we start the clip because it's just such a freaking cool little end to this whole thing right here. So here we go. Obviously, we got Lex on the ground, already been zapped, and then of course this is where they come in and Mercy sees Lex. And then we get the dramatic reveal.
God, that's just something about Brainiac, like when he still has like the power lines connected to him.
Reactivated and ready.
Okay, what was the purpose of that?
Dramatic, man. It's got to be dramatic.
It's very dramatic. I think it's overly dramatic.
It's like if he was out, if they were flying outside, there would have been a random thunderbolt.
Yes, there would have been.
Yeah. Stop him. And there we go. Go, Mercy.
Laser gun.
Yep, didn't quite work, but hey, he's moving quickly and trying.
Yeah, my laser's bigger than yours. I always love how Mercy always falls perfectly to like be very discreet.
Of course.
And modest.
Yeah. Nothing's gonna hike up that. Get out of there, Lex.
Yeah, because also, man, all the machines are like huge.
Yes.
Meet again, Kal-El.
This line right here.
Some improvements.
That's always a cool thing about Brainiac, because every time he comes back, he's always upgraded. Like
He learns.
He learns and he evolves.
Exactly. Oh, he's flying right at him. Wow.
Superman, the Sky Sentry.
Yes, the machine that we saw at the beginning that did not work. It'll work now. Great shot, kid.
Go get cocky.
Look at him, right.
Oh, that shot right there is such a
That's a cool shot, and then we get this flank. I love this right here. It's so cool. Man. And then, of course,
it magnetizes him.
Yes, we got a magnetic field that has to happen. And Brainiac wasn't in his body for what? More than 4 minutes?
I actually did think about that watching the episode. I was like, wow, all the time building that body, and it lasts for like 5 minutes.
That's what that was my point. Of like, if it was fleshed out just a little bit more, maybe, I don't know. And then this is effed up right here, man. So effed up. Like, nope, don't care. I need to get out of here. Jeez.
And she is so brokenhearted right there.
That is like, you just saw her heart break, and then Superman saves her, which is great. Dramatic, flying.
Everything's collapsing in on itself.
But it's okay because LexCorp is perfectly fine. nothing to see here, folks. But yeah, it's just like because like we were talking about earlier, it's like, because even Superman goes like, what is it with you and Lex? And she was just like, I was living on the street. I was basically like a stray dog, and he basically saw me and took me under his wing. Yeah. So it's like, it does beg the question, like, what is it? Is it actual love for him, like romantic love, or is it father figure? Is it what, so we did get that little backstory. And the fact that he said, nope, I'm out of here. I mean, we saw her heart break right there. Like, how dare you? Like, what? So effed up. A lot of layers, man. Even after all he went through.
Yeah, too. I know. By the way, did you notice an animation goof in the episode?
No, I did not.
Okay. When Mercy is walking up to Sector 6 to open the door, that entire sequence where she's walking up, they did an animator gloves.
Oh, they did not. I did not see that.
She has both her hands are bare hands, which would make sense because she has to put her hand down on the the keypad to open up Sector 6, but you'd probably take but they didn't animate her taking one glove off, but she walks the entire hallway. Both hands are animated without gloves on, but then as soon as she's in the lab, her gloves are back on.
Oh, wow. Well, could just be something. Yeah, that's interesting. I didn't even notice that. Did not even notice.
Because I think my point is that I've never seen Mercy animated without gloves. Because her model sheet is that one outfit, and she's always wearing gloves.
Always wearing gloves. You're correct. I didn't even notice that. Interesting. So then, of course, they're pulling out all the junk, and they're pulling out the Brainiac body and everything like that. And Superman's like, "Hey, doesn't that belong to like the military?" And Lex, even after all that, she's all, "Nope. This is mine. This is all LexCorp."
I love it. Like property. Every piece of him is 100% registered property of LexCorp, which is technically correct.
It is. I mean, let's face it. Again, this is where that evil businessman comes into play. We saw the genius. We felt a little bit sorry for him for a little bit, but now he's just back at being that dickhead Lex. And then he goes, "I got to go to a charity event." And then he, this is where I go, "Fuck you. Fuck you, man. I'm waiting." And it's like, to get into the car. So then, of course, Mercy gets out of the driver's side.
Open the door. The man can't even open his own freaking door.
Yeah. And then she gives that look to Superman. You're like, and then he goes, "Stray dog." And it's like, yeah, that, I mean, it's a good, the way he says that, because it's like, yeah, I mean, again, it's like she's just devoted to her master. That's why, kind of like what he said earlier, master kind of thing too. So, man, great episode.
Great episode.
Yeah.
Such a good one. Once
Yeah.
again, I love it because of the Brainiac stuff.
Yeah.
'Cause I love Brainiac, especially the animated universe iteration of Brainiac. I love it because it really shows the genius of Lex Luthor, that he is a scientist. But I had forgotten about the Mercy stuff, and it just gives me another reason to really love this episode.
I agree. I agree. What do we got next week?
Okay, this is one of those that when I look at the name, I'm like, what the hell is this? And
Probably, and I'm not going to know it either.
no, yeah, it's probably not. But next week, we're going to watch the episode Father's Day.
Father's Day. Yeah. No idea.
I'll give you one hint.
Okay.
Kirby.
Kirby. Jack Kirby. So it's gonna, okay. So is this a dark side coming back? What? Oh no, shit! Wow. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I mean, good hint. I mean, I'm thinking, yeah. Okay. Interesting. I'm like, all right, we got another dark side episode happening. Okay. Okay. Trying to remember what exactly it is. Do you remember things that happened in this episode?
I remember the general. I remember
Okay.
the general, like, it's called Father's Day for a reason, because if you know the fourth world, you know which character, because the character gets introduced in the
That's right.
next episode.
Okay. All right. Well, there you go, guys.
So I don't remember everything that happens, but I remember the general gist of the episode.
Makes sense. Okay. Well, there you go, guys. That's what we'll be watching next Thursday at, of course, 8 p.m. Pacific time. We appreciate you guys spending some time with us talking about this great episode with Brainiac's return. We had a lot of fun talking about it. Hopefully you guys did too. Go ahead and plug away, Scott.
Well, of course, you can follow me on Twitter at ScottDC27, on Instagram at McMerlin, and on Vero at Scott McClellan. If you go there, you can see some really cute pictures of a new member of the family. And, of course, you can find my entire network of shows at squadcastmedia.com.
There it is. All right, guys. We'll see you guys tomorrow on the Vodka stream at 7 p.m. Pacific time. And it'll just be a panel show. And we'll discuss, of course, we got the Supergirl casting that happened and some other things too when it comes to the DCU. And, I was going to see Argyle tonight, but I was like, it's rainy. It was kind of day. I'm going to see it tomorrow. So probably give a full review, but look forward to my first reaction review after I see it tomorrow, which will probably be around 2-3 o'clock. My time and everything. So anyways, guys, we love you. Thank you for spending time with us. We will talk to you later.